Hey everybody, Karyn Bryant with you, and today kicking back with me, victorious Miles Johns, fresh off the win in the co-main event at UFC Vegas 93. Miles, the win over Douglas Da Silva de Andrade was pretty awesome. It looked like you were doing everything you could to try to knock that man out.
Yeah, I was at the very beginning, not the beginning, there was a little fill out process. And then the first jab he threw, I landed a big right hand. And immediately when I landed that, my mind was just like, oh, I'm going to land this right hand tonight. I'm going to get my 50 G's. Like my knockout's coming tonight. And I think I fell a little bit too in love with that, because I was surprised at how clean I was able to hit him from the jump. But yeah, work to do, but I'm happy with it.
So, and I believe he's never been knocked out was the whole thing, right? That we were saying during the fight. So we were like, "Ooh, is this the night? Is this the guy?"
Yeah, he's never been knocked out. He's been hurt in a couple fights, but he's freaking tough, man. Those Brazilians, he's passionate. He has a real warrior spirit, and those Brazilians, they're always going to be tough.
So, what did you make of the fight, though, in terms of your performance? It feels like that you wanted to prove a lot in this fight.
Yeah, I thought my performance was good, but I'm always my biggest critic. I felt like sometimes when I heard him, I could follow up more. I want to work on that. But going into this fight, going into the Cody Stamen or Cody Gibson fight, I thought that Cody was gonna for sure bring a high pace and was gonna for sure bring war. And I was ready for war. I was going in on 2 weeks' notice, but I was like, if he brings war, like I'm here for it. It's gonna be an exciting fight. When I punch him in the mouth, he stays on his heels a little bit more and doesn't bring the full volume. And I was like, okay, that makes sense. But this time, I thought for sure Douglas was going to be the one that even when I hit him, he's still just going to bring everything. He's just going to come forward, kicking, doing all this stuff, and it was going to be a very high volume fight. But when I hit him, he also goes back on his heels and weights much more than he normally does. He usually has a lot more volume than that. So I'm recognizing that when I do land these shots, it's going to slow the pace of the fight down. And my pace normally is it can be a methodical pace like that, like I'm playing chess. I'm looking for my big shots, but when one shot isn't putting him down, I know I gotta add more punches behind that to get him out of there. So I'm happy with it, but I see where I can improve, and I'm just realizing that when I do hit these guys, they're not, some of them who supposedly bring war to everybody aren't going to bring war. Somebody will, and when that time comes, I will oblige, and it's going to be fun. But hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, I think that's what maybe was what one critique in the fight was that the guys were saying that on some of them maybe they were just kind of naked punches because maybe it looked like you were going too much looking for that one knockout punch where if you had followed up or maybe put more combinations together maybe it could have come.
100%.
Yeah.
I think so. And like I said, landing that right hand was kind of a blessing and a curse at the beginning. And then I landed a hook, so I was also looking for like the Alex Pereira hook knockout. But yeah, I know that I gotta just put more punches behind that and it'll come, and not just look for the one punch. But at the same time, I'm going back to the lab. And I do believe that if I keep working my boxing, I keep working my mechanics, I keep doing the right type of lifts, that I can develop that torque and I can have an Alex Pereira hook that if it touches you, and it will touch you, will put your lights out in the bantamweight division. I don't think a lot of bantamweights have that. So I'm going back to the lab, and I'm also working on that.
Nice. Yeah, I didn't want for that to sound like any kind of discouragement or
No,
whatever
I hear
because
you. Yeah,
yeah,
I
we
hear
want
you.
to
I
see those
agree.
knockouts, and that's the whole thing. Is I'm curious actually what your take is if you've noticed a difference with the gloves because there's a little bit of talk going on lately and recently. Obviously, it's a new thing with the new gloves, and the talk is that there haven't really been clean knockouts with the new gloves. And then people are like, yeah, but at the same time, we've had more lighter weight classes on display, right? So maybe there's fewer knockout artists lately anyway.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
have
people
you,
are
yeah,
like, if there's
have you
not.
noticed a difference? And maybe that's why it didn't happen.
No, I don't. I haven't noticed a difference, and and
Yeah.
I don't think I haven't heard any fighters saying that. I mean, if you're blaming the gloves, like we can still knock people out. I wouldn't put that on the gloves. That's on me. I need to fix things to get him out of there. But I have heard people saying that too online and stuff, and
Hmm.
I don't know. I think they like to talk about things. They can jump to conclusions quick. There's still been finishes and stuff, and we'll see what happens. They felt good to me. I asked them to make sure that my thumb was protected because they're thinner, so your thumb's out more. And I've
Hmm.
broken my thumbs a couple times. It's all messed up and stuff. But But I had no issues with that. So I was happy. That was my only concern.
Cool, very nice. Now, going into this, you talked a lot about this fight, like, hey, I'm feeling really good. I'm back in Missouri. I'm back with Trey. Mentally, I'm doing this, and like you sort of we're talking like you hadn't lived up to your full potential yet, and sort of that you hadn't maybe shown everything that you wanted to show, or haven't been everything. So, do you feel like this fight was more of that? Do you feel like you've been able to kind of put things in motion to so that you are always delivering the miles that you want to?
Yeah, I feel like I can do more now, but I do feel like I showed up to the occasion. What I was talking about in the past is just my two losses. I don't feel like I was ever beaten skill for skill. I just feel like I beat myself before the octagon, and I made a lot of changes in my life. I stopped drinking completely, got rid of a couple things. And why I was pumped up in the third round of this fight is because Douglas did rock me. He hit a flying knee that knocked my mouthpiece out, and I
Yes.
was fine. I was fine right after, but that was the same type of shot that Bautista hit me when I wasn't disciplined enough and I was not doing the same things that I'm doing now. That took me out. That ended the fight. And then he hit me with the spinning heel kick. That kind of rocked me, just like Castaneda rocked me. And when I was not disciplined and I wasn't doing the right things, that took me out of the fight. And I knew that I just had beat myself. So that's where that emotion and the flexing came from, was that, like, oh, here's that moment again, and I'm so far different from that fighter. I was so far away from being out of there. Like, that just fired me up, and I just wanted more of that. I was come on, I need more. So that just showed me that you've gotten to the place where now you're so disciplined and you're doing the right things that when things get tough in there, there's zero quit. There's zero, like, I mean, I'm all the way in there. I'm not looking for any escape door. If I'm out of there, it's because you put me all the way out. And that's something that I've lost along the way. When I grew up as a kid wrestling, that's who I was. If you took me to overtime too, like, I was winning in overtime. I don't know if I've ever lost in overtime, and my son now hasn't either, because that's the type of wrestler I was, and I want to be that type of fighter to where it's like it can. I don't care how bad it gets. I'm in there. I'm in there until the end. And I lost it, but I found it now again, and I'm ready for it to be tested more. I thought that Douglas was for sure get tested. I mean, he did in his ways, but I guess it was just no zero disrespect, but a little easier than I expected.
Yeah, that's not disrespectful. That just means you're recognizing where you are in your career, and your abilities are good. And you did give us some moments. So the two of you just growling at each other at the end there, it's great. I love to see it. So with that said, then your division there's. We talk about it being such a talent rich division. There's like a million matchups you could have
I know.
that would
Yeah.
would like create fireworks. So, like, do you have a path in mind? Like, what's your who do you want? I can't
Yeah.
remember because I have to apologize. Like, after a fight night, I'm like, and my brain kind of goes. I forget
Yeah.
like
No,
who
I hear
called
you.
who out and who
Yeah.
whatever. But I feel
After
like
the after the fight,
you did say something.
I said Ricky Simone's name
Ricky
after the
Simone,
fight.
right?
If he gets through this Oliveira kid, which I think he'll
Right.
do that pretty easily. But I'm not harping on that one either. I was just putting that out there for Sean. I don't know if he's still top 15. I've said Amen Zahibi's name a few times. He's on a
Nice.
4-fight win streak. I
Hmm.
think that'd be an awesome fight. I'm on a 4-fight win streak, so is he. And he has 2 knockouts, so I think that'd be cool. Other people were talking about Pedro Munoz,
Hmm.
which I thought maybe I'd have to have one more fight before I got that, but I'd be here for that for sure. And if you think about it, he just lost to Kyler Phillips. Kyler
Yep.
Phillips is like 12 or something like that,
Yep.
11. So it makes sense to fight him, get in the rankings, and then start fighting guys up there. So I don't know, but there's a million other matchups, and I just want to get better. I'm here for whatever, and I just
Hmm.
want to fight big fights, and I just want to keep proving that, like, I can compete with the best in the world.
Nice. And the reset back home in Missouri and everything that just really helped you this camp as well.
Yeah, I was in Missouri for my last camp, but Trey was fighting the same night. Um,
Okay.
it I'm just getting settled in. It feels really good to be here. I was on that. Me and Garrett went to the same camp.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, he had a hard fight,
Yeah.
but lost on Saturday. But he's going to come back way stronger. But it was still just good to do this whole experience with him, and really, I'm super excited for him because I know what that's going to do to him. Like, I know he's really down in the dumps right now. He's taking it really hard, and we stayed at the same Airbnb, so it was like. So it was tough.
Yeah.
You want to enjoy your win, but also I just feel so bad for him, and I've been there in his place. But I was just kind of watching him and his girlfriend, and I could see how upset they were and how sad. And part of me gets a little bit excited because I just know how good he's going to come back after this. I know how important these hard fought fights, that even when you lose, how important they are to your career. This is a young dude. Like, he was on a 2-fight win streak in the UFC, took one hard L to a very good guy. Like, I'm just like, dude, he's going to come back stronger. And now it's time for him to turn it up and take it to the next level. You know what I mean? If there was anything, he was just young in the UFC, and he's going to become like a vet and a man in the UFC now, and he's going to be a problem. So I felt so bad, but also I'm just like licking my chops. I'm like, let's go. Like, we're going to go together. This is only going to make us stronger. So, yeah.
Nice, and that's a perspective you can get now because you're a veteran yourself now. I'm trying to think how many fights you've had in the
I've
UFC.
been through those. I've been through those losses, and
Yeah.
Brady got the bonus. That just makes it so much harder. It's like a kick in the nuts. And but both of my losses, the dudes got the bonuses too. And I had kids at home, and I went home with a smaller check, just knowing that they completed their mission and had that extra money. And it hurts, but it's all about what you do in that time. Like, what you do in that time determines how bright you'll shine. What you do in the dark,
100%. Well, you're not in the dark right now. You look like you're living up to the nickname Chapo right now. You look like you're somewhere like I don't know, like what's going on? What are you doing?
I'm in my backyard actually, but
Okay.
the vibe, I feel like I'm on the beach, so it's all good.
Nice, nice, nice. Well, so how quickly would you like to get back in action then? I think did you say in the fall you wouldn't mind fighting again in the fall?
3 months, I've been
Yeah.
fighting every 3 months, and I think it's been really good for the weight cut and just for the whole process. So, yeah, 3 months would be awesome.
Awesome, awesome. Well, look at you just keep delivering and every time out like I feel like you're getting more and more dialed in and everybody knows that your fights are really exciting not to miss them. And oh, I know what I wanted to ask you. Yeah, so everything switched around with this card and was wild. So what was your reaction when all of a sudden you got elevated to co-main event?
My initial reaction went to when I fought for an LFA, and I was fighting Levi Miles, who was a
Uh,
very good prospect. It was a close fight. People didn't know who was going to win that fight. And the day of the fight, it got moved up to co-main event. And Coach Safe, who was my coach at the time, who's also
yeah.
an excellent coach, a great
Yep.
coach. So much respect for him. The first thing he said, he's like, your co-main event. Don't make it a big deal. And I was just like, he's like, don't overthink it. And that's exactly what I needed to hear. And I was
Okay.
like, okay, you're right. He's like, you're ready. Don't overthink it. Your co-main event. And for me at the time, LFA co-main event was a big deal. And I went out there and I delivered an excellent performance and got the win. And that was one that I was really just wondering, can I beat Levi? Am I really good enough to beat Levi? So immediately I went back to that, and
Uh-huh.
it was almost like a good omen for me. I was like, I
Yeah.
prepared so much for the opportunity that when it popped in my lap, I was like, oh, I've been here before. This just means it's my night. Like, I'm rising to the occasion. Co-main event. Let's go. I'm getting this win, my first co-main event. And I was just excited. Yeah, it felt awesome, like a good omen.
Cool. I love it. I love it. Because I would. That's how I would imagine is that it would amp you up even more if you're
Yeah,
already feeling good
if
and
you're
ready.
prepared. If you're not prepared, you're shivering in your boots. You're like, oh, I already wasn't prepared. Like, now I'm co-main event. But if you come up to and you're prepared for it, then I mean, take that opportunity and run with it. You got to.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, so that's basically the definition of luck, right? When opportunity meets preparation, and you're there and
Yep,
you go and you.
success.
Yeah, well,
Yep.
look at you took full advantage and you showed out and you put on such an excellent performance. No matter where on the card, you always do. But I feel like everything came together and it was the right timing, right moment, and just a really great performance. So congrats.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So looking forward to seeing you back in action. Go enjoy yourself. I know you're not going to take the summer off or anything like that, but at least kick back for a couple days. And a belated Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to
Thank
you.
you.
And
Thank you.
yeah, yeah. So congrats. Great to see you again. And yeah, hope to see you in action soon.
All right. I appreciate you.
Thanks, Miles.